Yo, what is up? What is up? Peoples, your boy MM2K back again with another episode of Lyrics to Go. This is where I talk about the latest and greatest in gaming news while going on my morning walk for coffee and so forth. All right, so what I want to talk about today is this, I don't want to say comical, but it's very interesting, very amusing is what I want to look for. I want to say comical, but very amusing dynamic that we have as we begin to close out 2021 in the year of gaming. Give me 1 second. I got to put my pastry. I'm going to put my pastry. I can't fit it in the pocket. All right, so why do I say it's amusing is because after like really walloping Xbox all year as far as accolades and stuff are concerned, PlayStation is kind of, as far as the console war battle is concerned, they're kind of at a disadvantage closing out the year. Microsoft just dropped Forza Horizon 5, which is getting like phenomenal scores. I've heard somewhere it's the highest scored game this year on Metacritic. And then that's not it. That's just a precursor to Halo dropping in December. So you could see a situation where Microsoft in the year of 2021 can wash away, if not all, a good majority of the blowback that it got just in 2 months. Simply because Sony doesn't have anything out in that year. Now, I've seen some interesting videos in regards to this. One from someone who I personally enjoy on Twitter as of late. He goes by the name of Odie. Fellow brother of African descent, so I definitely got a lot of respect for him. But my people's is West Africa, Nigeria, and Ivory Coast. Those are my people's. I think he's like South African. But anyway, that being said, I enjoy a lot of his content. Here's why I enjoy it. He takes a very philosophical view to the stuff that's going on, and he looks beyond the veil, where what a lot of people will do is they'll try to make strong arguments for the same old stuff. He doesn't do that. He's really thoughtful in his approach. So but he's a big PlayStation guy. So his approach to looking at all this is Xbox gamers want to look at just the last 2 months of the year and say, hey, we've done well those 2 months, so it doesn't matter what happened the other 2 months. And in essence, I get what he's saying. Like, you can't negate everything that happened those prior 10 months, right? Just for the sake of you having 2 months that close out the year that are doing well. Because if you have a great game, God of War has shown that. If you have a great game that releases early in the year, it don't matter if your game released in December. If nobody's talking about it, nobody's talking about it as far as long-term stability is concerned. So I get where it's coming from. The problem with that, though, is exactly that. Sony hasn't dropped anything that long-term, systemically, is etched in the gaming community. Like, Returnal was a surprise hit. Ratchet and Clank got a lot of accolades. But they've been stopped talking about that because it's not the big boom, realistic AAA banger like a God of War or what's the name of that damn game? A God of War or one of the Naughty Dog games. So that's fell off the radar. And I get that there was other games, but there wasn't a God of War. There wasn't a Last of Us. There wasn't something that was released this year that kept the community talking about it year in, year out. And now, with that fact at play, Microsoft is going to close out with 2 well-known titles. One, already even though it's for a niche racer, it's one of the highest rated games this year. It's a graphical showcase, so that really creates a lot of buzz, right? And the second one is Halo. Now, am I saying that Halo is going to be as big as it once was? Not necessarily, but Halo can be just as good enough, be big enough of a game with enough reach to really start changing the dynamic in the favor of Xbox, or the momentum at least in the favor of Xbox. Then you got Starfield coming out early 2022, which, if that's actually a good game, can do the rest. So, I mean, I think that's what PlayStation has to work in its favor. As long as they balance stuff out, they have nothing to worry about, because they got to balance stuff out, unlike they did last year. You remember the fantastic 2018 that they had. They had Spider-Man and God of War releasing the same year, and that just flipped the game upside down. But then in 2019, they had Days Gone, and I don't know if you can consider Death Stranding 1P, but Death Stranding was like PlayStation's big game, and both of those flopped on console at launch. So, you know what I mean? And Sony was able to still walk away crispy clean, because Microsoft really didn't have anything in its back pocket to take advantage of that. This is going to be different. This is going to be different. I think Microsoft sacrificed having titles at launch for the sake of this moment, to like load up the best way that they could, partially in 2022, mainly in 2023, to ensure that they got titles that are right there with Sony's, at least as far as numbers are concerned, or at least as far as opportunities are concerned. I'm not saying that they're going to be of the same quality, but they're going to have the opportunity. Unlike last generation, where they went so long without anything, and when they did drop something, it just wasn't even in the same stratosphere. I don't think it's going to be the same this generation. So Sony, we know they're a stickler for quality. They have a good eye for it. They just need to make sure that they have great balance. And I don't think that we saw great balance in 2021. Not having Horizon, not having God of War really creates an opportunity for Microsoft to just sweep in at the end of the year with those 2 games and really fill in a lot of that gap, which I know PlayStation doesn't want. You know what I mean? They like to keep the foot on Microsoft's neck. They feel like that's the safest thing for them in their business. That's the approach that they go with. And they kind of let off the neck at the end of this year. And going back to what Odie said, he said PlayStation normally doesn't release bangers at the end of the year. True. But again, you got to have that title that releases earlier in the year that will get talked about continuously until the end of the year. That's what PlayStation normally has. If they don't have a first-party title, then there's at least a second-party title that'll take up some of the oxygen, like they attempted with Death Stranding. Like there really should have been a second-party game to take up that fourth quarter oxygen out of Xbox, but they didn't have it. And that's very, very peculiar to see with PlayStation. Either they got a big banger in said year that gets notoriety all 12 months, or, you know, they fill in gaps with a banger, timed exclusive or second party exclusive that does the trick for them. And they had neither this year. Do I still think they had the better year? Oh yeah, absolutely. But Microsoft fumbled so much with the launch and the majority of the time during the launch. And you'd hate to see all that reversed. If you're PlayStation, you hate to see it. All that reversed within a matter of 2 months. Right? So, my message for PlayStation is, we know you're going to have the quality, but you got to balance it out, man. You got to at least have that banger. Now you're going to do another 2018 where you're going to release Horizon possibly and God of War in the same year. Okay, we know you got that year then. If you're going to do them both in 2022, you better have some games in 2023 that are going to compete with the onslaught of titles that you're going to see from Microsoft. You're going to see a bunch of games from Microsoft in 2023. I think that's when they're going to unload. That's when they're going to unload their quality argument. So, if you're Sony, you can't do another 2018, 2019 where you load up with Horizon Forbidden West and God of War. You take 2022 by storm. By 2023, you're running flat. You can't have another 2019 because this time in 2023, Microsoft they're going to be throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you, and you can't be left flat-footed in that scenario. So, very interesting stuff. You know, very interesting dynamic. A lot of great stuff to talk about in the world of gaming. So let's see how this pans itself out. With that said, that's your boy. Let me know what you think about all this. And if you like this, share this out because someone might like it too. And until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.